Okay, so today I'm going to talk to you about how to write a summary. And a summary is a really important part of this class because it makes up a good chunk of your homework assignments. And so this lecture is about teaching you how to write the summary, not just for my class, but pretty much for all classes. So what is a summary? A summary basically is a shorter version of the original in your own words. Right. What you're doing is you're explaining to somebody else who has not read this text what the text was about. And so you're going to explain it in enough detail that the other person can understand it, but not in so much detail that you're recreating the original for them. And it's important that a summary is comprehensive. So it means that it includes all the parts of the article, not just part of it or the first 2 pages of a chapter. It needs to be comprehensive of the whole thing. And the purpose of a summary, all right, so in the immediate, all right, for the teacher's point of view, it allows us to know if you understood the reading, because if you can't summarize it, you can't explain it in your own words, then you didn't really understand it. All right, and so that's important. I can see as a reader when I'm reading your summary, oh no, that's not what the author said. Oh, you didn't really understand what the author said. And then I'll write notes to you, that's not what the author said, go back and read, blah, blah, blah. All right. But it also, as from a teacher point of view, also proves to us that you have read the chapter or you have read the text, whatever it is. And so it is important for us for that purpose, for the record keeping piece. But summary is also more in the longer view is necessary for all the research writing you're going to do, because you're going to do lots of research writing in college. And you want your summaries to sound like you. You want your research papers to sound like you, because what happens is you have a topic, you do research, and you read like 10 or 12 different articles, and then based on that information, you have to sort of summarize all that information and make it yours somehow. And so you want your paper to sound like you, not like 7 other people wrote your paper. You want it to have all your voice, because you have an individual voice. Everybody has a very individual voice. And so you want your paper to sound like you, not like a teenage boy with his voice cracking. Here are the guidelines for the summary. These are the things that I am going to grade you on. All right. This is an important slide. Know this slide. Learn this slide. Love this slide. All right, what I'm looking for. It should be a shorter version of the original, but it should include all the major parts of the reading. And that needs to be comprehensive. It can't just be like the first 2 pages of the chapter. It has to be comprehensive of the whole chapter. All right, it should be in your own words, because by definition, that is what a summary is. All right, so don't quote anything, don't run select sentences from the original together. Your own words. I have read these books. Don't make me chase you down. This should be written in the third person. All right, and the reason is it's in third person is you are explaining this is what the author said. And because of that, it should be, your pronouns are he, she, they. All right, so no I, me, it, it, I suppose, but you wouldn't refer to people as it. So I, me, my, our, we, you, yours. All right. In your topic sentence, you want to include the author and then title of the text and the main idea. All right, and the reason I want you to do this is I want you to be dead familiar with signal phrases, because that's what this is. It's a signal phrase. It tells your readers who your author was, what the article title was or the chapter title was, and what the main idea of that was. All right, and that should be right at the very beginning, the first sentence of your summaries. And this should be objective. All right, the reason I want this to be objective is that's what a summary is. You're just explaining what did the author say. All right, you don't have to say this is my opinion about it, or I liked it or I didn't like it. Just what did they say? That's it. So I'm going to talk to you a little bit about strategy for this. SQ3R is a reading strategy that's really useful for summary. They sort of lend themselves together. All right, and SQ3R stands for Survey, Question, Read, Recite, Review. All right, and it's just it's a way of going through a text so that you really understand it. Now it looks like, oh my God, that's like 5 steps. And it kind of is, but it kind of isn't. Really what it's designed to do is to keep you from having to reread it several times, because nobody's got time for that. Nobody has time to reread something because you're all taking like 12 to 15, 18 credit hours and you're all dying under the reading load. All right, so what you do is first you survey the reading, right? And that's an important thing to do, just to get a sense of what it's about, right? And what you're doing there is you're activating your schema. You're activating what you already know about the topic. All right. Question is using the headers, because in a lot of textbooks they have headers, and you turn those headers into questions. All right, and then by the end of the section you should be able to answer that question with the information in that section. And then whatever that answer is, that's what makes it into your summary. All right. Read means to actually read all the words. Recite can mean like speaking it, but often it's just the summarizing of it. All right, and then a review is just going back over your summary. You don't have to review the whole thing. You might go back and review, sort of the pull quotes or the pictures, and maybe review your summary. But if you've done this right, you don't ever have to reread it, right? Because again, nobody's got time for that. All right, so I'm gonna open this up. All right, and so here's the article. Okay, so if I'm looking at this, okay, so there's 5 pages. This is important. All right. All right, so most of that page is pictures. All right, I have a pull quote here. Reading Apprenticeship is a powerful framework that allows faculty to mentor readers in discipline-based instruction. Okay, so now based on this pull quote, I know that this article is writing to faculty about, and not necessarily reading faculty. It's, it can be any kind of faculty. All right, got some headers, developing a community of leaders. All right, I got another graphic. Okay, so dimensions of reading apprenticeship. So, so there's 4 dimensions: social dimension, personal dimension, knowledge building dimension, cognitive dimension. All right, so this is the stuff you do in the classroom. This is what the students are going to get out of it. And then this is the actual nuts and bolts of it. So this is what they're learning from the actual text. And then the cognitive dimension is sort of breaking it down and transferring the information somewhere else, but also thinking about their thinking. So this is the metacognitive stuff. Let's see here. There's more pictures. Okay, so this is dialogue, and I know it's dialogue because I got quotes here. So here's one person saying something. Okay, this is probably the teacher. So this is a student, teacher, another student because it's a different color. Same the teacher, then the first student again. Okay, There's another header. Another picture. Okay, so it takes up a lot of space. I like that. All right, and they're working together. All right, another pull quote: conceptual sophistication and intellectual maturity, and by thoughtfully applying RA routines and scaffolding. Much more engaged reading classroom. Okay, so this is what they're going to get out of it. So my classroom is much more engaged. Well, that's what will happen if I use Reading Apprenticeship. Okay, and then this is who she is, which is always important. I like to know who the author is and why I should believe her. So she's Basic Studies faculty, Renton Technical College. All right, so she knows stuff. Okay, so let's go back to the lecture. Okay, so I've surveyed it. All right, now if I'm going to question it, what I might do is turn all these headers into questions. Wrong, try that again. So what are my headers? My headers are developing a community of leaders. So I might ask, how do I develop a community of leaders? All right, and then if I read along, all right, that if I do these things, I'll create a community of leaders. All right, and she goes on to talk a little bit more about how she does that. Here's some quotes. She's explaining it. Okay, and then I have another header here, practice makes perfect. So I might turn that into a question. How does practice make perfect? All right, and then I can read that section and the answer will come out. And this one's already in a question. So why does Reading Apprenticeship fit community and technical college students' needs so well? And so if I read this section, then that I should have an answer to that, and then I can put that into my summary. And okay, that's basically it. All right, so I surveyed it, I've written questions out. All right, so then the next section would be to read it. All right, now I'm going to assume that you're going to read this all on your own. All right, and so you can find this actual article in the reading section in Blackboard. All right, so you're going to read the whole thing. All right, now recite can mean to actually say it out loud, but mostly in this case is to summarize. All right, and so you summarize it, and I'm going to give you an example of what that looks like, and then to review, just to be going over it. All right, so here's my example of a summary. So in Michelle Benjamin Lesmeister's article, so here's my author. All right, here's the title. All right, and I know it's the title because it's got the quotes around it, Teaching Adults to Read with Reading Apprenticeship. All right, she explains why some students are inexperienced with college reading and how Reading Apprenticeship can help in that process. So that's the main idea of the whole chapter. All right, and then the next parts are the summary of sort of the sections. So faculty are experts in the field. Their job is to mentor new to the field students by creating a community of leaders who read and discuss text to help novice students learn the discipline. Leismeister explains there are 4 dimensions to the reading apprenticeship: social, personal, knowledge building, and cognitive. Modeling her own strategies helps her students understand the relationship the reader has to any text. The author suggests reading apprenticeship requires practice, is a good fit for community and technical college students in particular. So you're seeing how some of those key questions that you turned from the headers are answered here. That's because I used the strategy. All right, and then it is completely comprehensive of the chapter. All right, this is what I'm going to be asking for from you. This is what I'm asking you to do. All right, so now that you've seen it, it's going to be your turn to write it. All right, I want to emphasize again, these guidelines, all right, the 5 I've given you, as well as your editing skills, are how I'm going to evaluate your summaries. Please pay attention to that, because I don't want you to get like 3/4 in the semester and be like, oh, that's what you meant. No, this is what I meant. All right, your first practice in the homework this week. If you have questions, please let me know.